ain't got no more food. We got babies out here. We got handicapped people.
On the floor, she's dying right now.
FEMA started, the law allows FEMA to conduct reviews and audits of applications that were submitted for assistance from FEMA post-disasters or because of disaster-related claims. And so that review process can start, there's a 3-year window, but and they generally start the review process of those applications like within a year or a year and a half after the disaster. But in the case of Katrina, it started in March of 2006. So it seems like the GAO report that came out that pointed out all of these fraudulent claims and these payments by FEMA to individuals who had absolutely no connection to the city of New Orleans or to the Gulf Coast region at all. And so that prompted this immediate review and process. And so what they're doing is they send out, what I've been able to gather is that letters go out to individuals twice a month. And the review process, basically, it seems like they're looking at the individuals, the names, the damaged property, the social security numbers of individuals, and if the name is plugged into the system and it pops up that 2 or 3 people submitted a claim on the same damaged property location, it prompts at least a preliminary review by FEMA, and they access both clients or both applicants' files and begin to see what sort of assistance was given to each individual, doing an eligibility determination, a redetermination of eligibility, based on this new finding that assistance went to multiple people in the same household from the same damaged property. And if after the review, and the review is done, it's physically done by a caseworker, it's not computer generated, it's done by a caseworker who looks at all of these documents, at least that's what the comments say in the file. If that person who reviews it finds that there may have been duplication of benefits, or there may have been some insurance payout, so the person owes money back to FEMA, or in those instances, when that comes up, that file goes up to the supervisor, who will either approve it or reject it for recoupment purposes. And at that point, after the approval, if it is approved, then the letter is sent out to the individual, and that notice basically says that, it explains the right that FEMA has in terms of reviewing, conducting audits, and recovery. And it says, we've determined that you owe X amount of dollars. You received money as a result of the disaster. We've determined that you owe X amount of dollars because you were not eligible for that assistance because. And generally, it's a one-liner that says duplication of benefits.
Right.
Or it says no flood insurance, failure to maintain flood insurance, or something like that. It's not a lot of detail. You have no idea who the person is that they're saying, should have gotten the money and not you. There's no explanation in terms of who's the head of household, how they came up with that decision. They give you 30 days to pay it all in full. And if you do not pay it all in full, then within the 30 days, there is an interest rate that kicks in against you on that debt that accrues annually. At this point, the interest rate is 4%. In June, when the letters first went out, it was 2%. So, but the interest rate kicks in along with some other administrative fees and costs. You know, I have clients who have had $2,000 notices and $21,000 notices. They're recouping for expedited assistance and transitional housing assistance, which is money that people received and didn't even know what the purpose of the money was for. You know, they got notices after all of this money had hit their bank accounts. FEMA, in addition to, you know, screening applications, making sure the money is going to the appropriate places, there is also the need to address, you know, the immediate needs of people in these crisis situations. And so the law is written, it provides that, you know, we understand that we're going to make some mistakes in terms of giving out this assistance, you know, because of the nature of what we're dealing with. Mm-hmm. But we have a right to recover this money if we, in our review, determine that it was inappropriately or incorrectly given to you. And so they rest on that provision of the law. I mean, it's written in there. The problem is that, you know, this notice of this fact didn't go out to clients until after the money had hit their accounts, and it went out in written form, and the clients or the recipients didn't necessarily read those forms, although that's no excuse, but they didn't necessarily read the forms. And many people probably would not have applied for assistance had they known that there would be some concern about whether or not they were actually eligible. Right. You know, it seems that FEMA was creating a way to provide assistance to meet the needs of people by telling them, I mean, especially in instances where you had shared households, and they were saying the only way you can get assistance for yourself is if you submit an individual application for yourself. I mean, I understand that you lived with, you know, relatives, or you lived with, you know, a roommate or something, but, you know, we're going to give money to the roommate, and the roommate or your mom or whoever is supposed to you're supposed to have access to that money. Mm-hmm. Now, you know, in some utopia, that would work, right. But we're operating in the real world where mom has lost everything that she had, and the $2,000 you gave her doesn't even meet her needs. Right. So she's not going to give it to me. So FEMA is saying, submit these applications, put the information in there, we'll process it. And people relied on FEMA to properly screen it and give money where money was, you know, appropriate, and it just didn't turn out that way. And so now they face these recoupment claims.